That it's a very minor
Mhm.
question mark, but when we get
No, I've never heard of, I don't recall us running into a fence of that height before. It's just, I'll be curious because I came in later, so. Uh,
so we approved it as a minor modification on 18 Walpole
mhm,
back in 2023.
mhm. For that height?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm. And I didn't see anything in the discussion of it that it's not on the agenda, so we probably should
yep,
be
no, it's fine.
talking about it.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm forgetting my open meeting rules.
Okay, I'm just waiting for people's faces to come up here. If anyone. Maybe I'll open the meeting for the December 4th, 2024 Dover Conservation Commission hearing. Thank you everyone for attending. And before we get started, are there any residents who want to bring anything to our attention that may not be on this evening's agenda? So hearing none, we will continue with the our agenda as planned. Lori, could you go ahead and read our permissions there, please?
Sure. Following guidance issued by the governor regarding the open meeting law, this public meeting will be held remotely. Individuals wishing to participate may do so by using Zoom video conferencing technology. To join the meeting by video conferencing using a computer or a tablet, please use the link listed on the agenda. To join by telephone, you may call the number, enter the meeting ID and the passcode, and this meeting is being recorded.
Great, thank you very much.
Sure.
So we'll start off this evening's meeting with a request for determination of applicability for 30 Mill Street from Truax Engineering. Evening, Rob.
Good evening.
Janet, can you give us a quick rundown?
Sure.
Janet?
Yep. So this is a straightforward RDA for soil testing for a replacement septic system. They are staying outside the 50-foot no disturb. The area, a portion of it isn't within the 70-foot. So hopefully their testing will allow them to stay outside the 70-foot no structure setback. The other thing I noted, so I recommend approval of a negative determination of applicability. I did do a site inspection to confirm the existing conditions. And I'm recommending approval of a negative determination with 4 conditions. The first being no soil testing allowed within the 50-foot no disturb. The second, no stockpiling of any material allowed within the 100-foot buffer. The third, upon completion of soil testing, all disturbed areas shall be immediately stabilized and revegetated. And then the fourth special condition is indicating that because the DEP wetland delineation field data forms were not submitted, we are not confirming the wetland delineation as part of this approval. So that when it comes back to us for the actual septic replacement, we will need those DEP forms. But a note to the consultant, we do have a winter delineation policy. And because we're already into December, it'll depend on the site conditions, whether or not the delineation could be approved.
Okay. Meanwhile, septic systems may be a little bit more of an emergency than non-optional types of things. Do we have anything in place that would well, before I get there, Rob, is there do you have an idea when they're looking to install the system?
I don't see it being installed for at least February, March.
Which is still a
Trying to get a
window.
test date. Once you approve my testing, I will get a date from Jason.
Mhm.
I did dig safe the site, so I'll probably get out there in the next week or so to do the perk test.
Mhm.
With the holiday coming up, it won't get designed, won't be finished. We gotta do some survey. Probably get the plan approved in January. We'll come back to you for a meeting. So by the time we go through another conservation hearing and all that, we'll be looking at permits by February at best.
Okay, so I'm just saying, so do you hear the concern about the guidelines relative to delineating
Yeah.
during the winter? Is that something we can just address it if it becomes an issue?
Yeah, I think so. I think, we'll push forward, and if the winters are like the ones we've had in previous years, we probably won't have an issue with it. Haven't really
Okay.
had a lot of snow cover, but we'll just push forward and we'll see where we're at when we get the notice filed, and if there's snow on the ground, obviously you can't look at it and we'll deal with it.
Okay. Okay, then the commissioners have anything that they'd any questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of granting a negative determination?
No, you gotta close the hearing
I'm
first.
sorry. I thought we closed the hearing there.
We didn't vote on it.
Oh, sorry. It's been a long day. Excuse me. No. So let's all in favor of closing the hearing. Sarah,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Anna.
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Okay, so now move to issue a negative determination of applicability for the project with the special conditions outlined by the our agent.
This is for 30 Mill Street. Right. Okay.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Anna?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Ted? Jeez. Tim?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
So we'll
you,
hear back
everyone.
from you later, I guess, Rob, once
We'll
you
see
do
you
your
again.
testing. Okay,
All right,
great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Just a note to the consultant,
Yeah.
you do need to wait till you get your permit from us before you can do any work on the site.
Okay, you
I,
anticipate when we would have it?
Lori?
Probably by next week sometime.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay,
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Oh, thank you, Catherine. So next we have 15 Hamlin's Crossing. On the printed agenda, I don't see a DEP number. Do we have one?
yes, we do. That was assigned last week. It is 926.
Okey-doke, great. Then we'll go ahead and open the hearing. Why don't you fill us in, Janet, please?
So this is a proposal for doing mainly reconstruction work of an existing pool house, terrace, hardscaping, a spa, and also landscaping. So it sounds straightforward. However, there are 6 wetland resource areas on the property. It's a large property, over 27 acres. And instead of reviewing the entire 27 acres and the delineation, I focused just on the wetland delineation within the 100-foot buffer of the proposed work. And so it's quite a bit of work in a fairly small area. So I think it would be helpful to have the site plan up. And Lori, did the NOI and site plan go out to all the commissioners on this? Because it's
Yes.
It did, okay. So it was a very thorough NOI, so I just want to recognize Metro West for that. They did a very good job with their narrative, their performance standard evaluation, and the site plan. But it was quite a bit of material to review, so I think it would be best if, I think Brian Nelson from Metro West is here. If he could maybe share his screen and just review the project.
Okay, no objection there. I think that'd be helpful. Brian, you want to go ahead? Can you unmute, please?
Thank you. For the record, my name is Brian Nelson with Metro West Engineering. The property owners and the applicants, David and Kristen Gross, are also here tonight. And I'm going to share my screen. And I would like to start with basically a layout of the entire site. And can everybody see that okay?
Not yet.
All right, it must be slow to load. But as Janet mentioned, it's a about a 25 acre parcel, which is mostly in Dover. There is a smaller section. Hey, Chris, can you jump in?
Sure, I can do that. Just give me 1 second.
So I don't know if, Brian, if you have to stop trying to screen share.
I will. My computer's frozen. If you guys can.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
So hopefully, or maybe you guys can shut me out of the screen share and Chris can jump in.
Do you want to give that a try, Laurie?
I think you can. I'm going to try shutting down my Zoom. Chris from my office.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. What? Okay, great. We'll see you shortly.
All right. Apologize for that.
Yeah, it's not letting me do anything with the
Trying to hit my stop share. And I am still locked up, frozen.
Do you want to just reset your computer? Oh, now he's frozen completely. So Brian, I don't know if you can still hear us, but if you can just turn your computer off and on again, the time revered solution. Oh, okay, great.
All right. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we can. No, you're actually still on.
All right. I'm going to try to share my screen again. We'll see what happens. And if it locks up again, I apologize. Let me know.
There we go. Okay.
All right, great. Sorry about that for the hiccup there. So this is an overall presentation board of the site. Snow Hill Lane is right at the top center of the plan. Hamlin's Crossing West comes basically in a southwesterly direction, terminates in a cul-de-sac here. Hamlin's Crossing East runs southeasterly, terminates here. And our property is bounded by the two Hamlin's Crossings, running basically following my cursor. Overland follows an intermittent stream channel to a pond, basically runs through the pond, heads southeast, and then basically to the Dover Medfield line, runs in a westerly direction across the width of the property and basically heads northeast back to Hamlin's Crossing. There are several buildings on the property. They're all basically clustered to kind of the central southern portion of the site. The main house located closer to the Medfield line, that's right here. We've got a accessory building here, smaller guest house here, a couple other accessory buildings here and here. And then the area that we're going to look at tonight is the pool and the pool terrace in this area. There are quite a few red and blue lines on this sheet. But just to give you an idea for resource areas, we've got in the northerly portion of the property, we've got wetlands that really kind of cut through that whole north central and northeast portion of the property. Basically, we've got a stream that comes down, flows into a small pond, and that is piped to an intermittent stream channel, which basically flows northwest, and it takes a sharp turn, comes southwest into a larger pond, which is located at the southwest corner of the property. This pond has a dam with an outlet structure on the southerly side, and that outlets to a perennial stream, which flows southerly into Medfield. Overfield Drive, which is in Medfield, is located here. There is a driveway that comes basically right through the southerly central part of the site, starts at the end of Hamlin's Crossing West, comes southerly southeast, kind of wraps around, and then comes back towards Overfield Drive here. And again, we're looking at this rectangle, and the next boards I go to are going to kind of blow up on that area. And this is basically the existing condition. We've added a little color to this plan to hopefully kind of make it a little bit easier to read. But this is the intermittent stream coming into the pond, which is shown here on the right. We come through a reinforced concrete pipe, and then this is the intermittent stream channel, which is flowing northwest. The main house is at the bottom of the plan. The larger accessory building is over on the left. We've got an existing tennis court, and you can see this in blue is the stream. So we are pretty close to the bank with the spa, the existing pool house, and the existing pool and terrace. We've got the 50-foot no disturb line is shown in red. The 70-foot no structure shown in magenta. And then the 100-foot wetland buffer zone is shown in blue. So the spa, the existing pool house, and the majority of the pool are all located entirely within that 50-foot no disturb, certainly all within the 70-foot no structure zone. The area surrounding the pool is primarily turf lawn. There are some landscaped areas in and around the spa and the pool, and kind of following the pool fence around here, right off of the southerly and westerly sides. With that, I'd like to go to the proposed plan. And just to orient you, we're sitting the same way. North is going straight up this page, the pond over on the right, drain line pipe, and then the intermittent stream. What we're proposing to do is reconstruct the pool house, which will have a smaller footprint. The existing footprint of the pool house is about 1,342 square feet. The new pool house has a footprint of about 902, so it gets significantly smaller by about 430 square feet, or a little over a third of its area. The existing pool goes from 1,137 square feet down to 720 square feet. So we've got a reduction in the size of the pool. And the spa, which was located close to the wetlands, is moved over here, basically outside the 70-foot no structure zone. And basically with the new pool house, the pool deck, what we're proposing to do is have an infiltration system, a Cultec infiltration system, just northwest of the pool terrace, and that'll capture the runoff from the pool house and the pool terrace area, including the pool when it's covered. So there are no stormwater controls in place in that area right now, and we will make that improvement. There was a landscape plan which was submitted, which shows basically a restoration area, kind of between we tried to put as much, planting in this area between the pool house and the stream as best we could. Planting plan calls for, I believe, 84 native shrubs around the pool area to be planted. 47 of those are within the restoration area, so this area here. The project does result in about a 1,600 square foot increase in impervious area. That is all centered basically between the 70-foot no structure and the 100-foot wetland buffer. We decrease impervious area in that 50-foot, that first 50-foot of the 50-foot no disturb zone. There's a decrease in impervious area of a little over 1,200 square feet. And then we've got a slight decrease in the 70-foot no structure zone as well. And there's a roughly over 1,000 square foot increase in the landscaped area with the restoration plantings kind of basically between the pool terrace and house and the existing stream channel. Some of the shrubs we'll be planting, chokeberry, sweet pepperbush, inkberry, viburnum, and fothergilla. With that, I'm happy to leave either plan up or stop my share and answer any questions.
So Janet, I mean, just as you said, this is very well thought out and is moving things away from the wetlands in general. Anything that you think needs clarification?
So in my regulatory review report, there were 4 items that needed to be clarified or revised on the site plan, all generally fairly minor. Again, the footprint of both the structures are being reduced. I think all the effort has been made to restore native plantings as close to the resource area as possible. And there is a stormwater Coltech chamber to handle all runoff, which is a substantial improvement. So the 4 areas, the 4 issues that I wanted to follow up. I do think we can go ahead and approve this tonight with additional follow-up to be submitted before the actual order is issued. The first is requiring the orange construction fence in front of the filter mitt compost sock. That's just our standard procedure. So that the site plan should be revised to show that. The second is just to indicate on the site plan the area to be used for stockpiling of materials and equipment storage, and that should be outside the 100-foot buffer zone of the work area. The third was, and Brian, maybe you can do this if you can increase your screen, but 10 trees are proposed to be removed, and I had a hard time locating those 10 trees. And I think it would be helpful just to have a short narrative from you, a chart showing the species and size of the 10 trees to be removed, and then also making sure the tree removal complies with our tree filter zone standards.
Sure.
And then the last was just to confirm that the fees for the 2 waiver requests have been received. So the 2 waiver requests are for new disturbance within the 50-foot, new structures within the 70-foot no structure setback. And I do recommend approval of those under our grandfather policy, since the new disturbance and structures will be in already disturbed areas, and there really are no other alternative locations.
Okay.
So I
Lori,
guess-
have you received those fees?
Not the waiver fees, just the application fees.
Okay. So why don't we, Brian, if you can see to it that those are sent to the office, please.
Yeah, we can get those into you by the end of the week for sure.
Okay. And the other 3 items, any questions on those?
No, I think all the revisions are pretty straightforward, and what we'll do on, we may have them on the erosion control plan, the trees to be removed, but we'll highlight those so they pop out a little bit.
And did you do a count, I don't know if it's self-evident, but we're looking at 100 by 100-foot square, that the 10 trees don't exceed 50% of the trees that are in that square?
We will check that, to be honest with you. I did not check that, so we'll take a look at that and see.
Okay. And so given that we don't, I mean, that is something that we normally would have. I'm just trying to zoom in on your screen a bit. So they're not those trees aren't shown anywhere on the current plan?
They're shown on the site plans, but they're not shown on the presentation plans that you've got in front of you. So what we'll do is
Brian, they're shown on the colored existing plan. They're in red.
Okay, actually they are
Texas.
there. So yeah. So yeah, we've got cherry tree here. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Couple more over here. I see 3 of them, so we're gonna have to check that count as well.
It's by the tennis court.
No, this is.
Oh, okay, so it's the row of arborvitae.
Oh,
Okay,
okay, arborvitae. Oh,
so some of
interesting.
those are actually outside, but yeah, there's a row of arborvitaes. I'd say probably average caliper size of 12.
Okay.
Not a big deal, those trees. Those are just
Yeah,
little.
I'm taking a look on Google Maps just to see if it's how evident that is relative to where things are. And on the scale there.
Yeah, 6 of them are on the outer fringes, the 100-foot between the 70.
Right, so yeah. And I see that. So basically what you're looking at is in their shrub. Some of them, I don't know if you can call an arborvitae a shrub in a pinch, but and then you have 3 that are closer to the pool there.
Yes. Yeah, cherry, a couple willows, and then a small Japanese maple.
Okay. So we'd still like to have backup on that,
Sure.
but I think we could, given the trees that are in that area, I think we're I don't know who's talking, but
That's gonna be moved up closer, which is good. So how do we speak?
MPT 91. I don't know if you can mute yourself, please.
Okay.
Thank
Good.
you.
Yes, this, Mike and Dot Sotis, we're budding neighbors at 14 Hamlin's Crossing.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
our concern is, given the water that's between our properties and
Mhm.
given the work that is being proposed, is there any guarantee that that's not going to affect our property from a water floodage perspective?
Yes.
So it's basically making what exists currently a little bit smaller in on the water side of things. Where are you located? If
We're
Next door,
right next door, we abut 14 Hamlin's
the other
Crossing.
side of that little brook you look at.
on the opposite side
Right
of the
here.
brook.
Yep.
Oh, Kaduk. Was that? Were you in front of us earlier in the year?
Yes, we were, yep. that
Oh,
was
okay,
us.
got it. Okay,
Yep.
so you're number one. The house elevation is much higher
Mhm.
than from what I recall, that your backyard then goes down towards that the water features. Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct.
So I'm as a builder, but not necessarily technically an engineer. That's highly unlikely that anything would be affected there. The erosion control will be in place during construction, and water tends not to, go uphill.
Well,
Okay. that's
Well,
fine.
I question that statement because the water, this has been a very dry season. When we first moved here, that
Mhm.
river area had expanded dramatically at a very high level. So
If you could help me out, because there are so
The
many other
brook.
water features there.
He's talking about the
Where
brook.
that brook there going into the
Yes.
pond?
I mean, we're in a dry season right now, so
Yeah.
there isn't any, there
Not
hasn't been any high points. But when we first moved here, we had a considerable amount of rain, and that brook area did get very, very high.
Mhm.
Our
And
concern
high-
is with the construction that you're proposing, that, again, given a high degree of rain, will that affect our property at all?
No.
And in what, I don't see where it would affect it anywhere near the house, but I don't know how much where your property line goes, at lower elevations. I'm looking at the brook there. And on top of all that, what they're proposing on the finished product here is an underground drainage system where they
Mhm.
currently have none. So
Right.
if anything, they would be improving the flow of water from that part of the property towards the pond. Brian, do you want to speak to that at all?
Yes, I think those points are very valid, that the infiltration system will store and slowly recharge runoff from the new impervious surfaces, which will be a benefit to the stream in conditions of low groundwater. but it'll certainly decrease the amount of runoff flowing to the stream or through the stream in events, you know, heavy rain events. And there's also a reduction in impervious area too. So that should also lessen the amount of stormwater runoff being generated. So I see this as an improvement to the site, but also to the abutting properties as well.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And any other questions?
No, that was basically it. We're just, because
Okay.
it's all manicured back there and everything right now. The lawns go right up to the brook practically on both sides. Actually, they have some property on the other side of the brook too. And we just want to make sure that we weren't going to end up with a lot of extra water in our backyard. As Janet knows, and she's been and you folks have all been through our property, you know how wet it is in the back there.
Yeah, so this,
Yeah.
no, this, that's, as Janet mentioned, it's very unusual for the Caltech system that they mentioned. It's a sizable one that really sort of overdresses the impervious flow of any rainwater
Okay.
and puts it all underground. So it's well thought out, and you know, there should be no effect whatsoever
Okay.
to your end of things.
When does this project start? Does anybody know?
I would think it would be spring of 2025.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay,
Okay.
just wondered. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. So Janet, your sense on, given that we found out that more than 50% of the proposed tree cutting are arborvitaes, and that there do seem to be, you know, numerous trees there, are you comfortable with this being voted on tonight without the, with the confirmation, data, you know, due to arrive before we issue the, hard permit?
I would be comfortable given the site conditions. And also, I just wanted to confirm, so our standard for what trees are regulated is a 4-inch diameter at 4-foot breast height. So are these arborvitaes that large, 4 feet at 4 inches at 4 feet breast height?
Most of them are. There is the one Japanese maple, I think, was a 3-inch caliper. So that one actually would probably be exempted because it's just under your threshold.
Okay.
And also, given the amount of mitigation planting that's being done with native species, arborvitaes is not a native species. I would feel comfortable approving that contingent on receiving that information on the trees.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Okay. I am willing to close the hearing unless anyone has an objection.
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Sarah?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well.
Okay, move to issue a standard order of conditions approving the project as presented with the following the conditions enumerated by our agent and subject to the receipt of the tree counts
And waiver fees.
and waiver fees, yes.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Amy?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. So thank you. And thank you, Brian, for a very complete package. That was very helpful.
Thank you all. I think Janet still has her hand up. So do you want me to hang on for 1 second and see if she's got any more
Sure,
comments?
absolutely. Yeah.
We'll get the
Janet?
plans in by, if you guys are closed on Friday, it may be Monday of next week, but we'll get them in as soon as possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Janet, you had a parting comment?
I mentioned, but I didn't restate that you really should vote to approve the 2 waiver requests. Do your grandfather.
Okay.
Okay, move to approve the 2 waivers outlined in
In the agent's report?
the agent's report, yes.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of granting those waivers? Tim?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And myself. Okay, thanks, Janet. And anything else, Janet? Your hand's still up. I don't know.
Sorry, nope, that's it.
Okay, great. I will look forward to that next week, Brian. Let you know if we don't get it.
Okay, I appreciate your
Okay.
time. Have a good night, everyone. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Bye.
Okay, we have a continued notice of intent for 139 Center Street, revision to plans. Janet, why don't you fill us in?
This is a continued notice of intent. It's for an improved expanded driveway, utilities, drainage, and some relatively minor invasive management work. So the work is for an access driveway to a house lot. The house work itself is all outside the buffer zone. We had requested some additional information. Pretty much all of the requested information has been submitted. One of the concerns I had that is there's an existing culvert towards the entrance to the property. We really don't have any documentation as to when it went in. We had requested that a professional engineer evaluate the condition and adequacy of the culvert, especially to handle weight of some of the large construction machinery that will need to access the site. We did get a fairly detailed letter from a professional engineer, but because they didn't have specific data on the culvert itself, they really could not confirm that the culvert is adequately sized or is able to really safely handle the weight. What they did recommend, and I think it's a good idea, and I did put it in the special conditions, is that we require that the culvert be inspected on a weekly basis, and that the result of those inspections be included in their monthly progress report. And that if there are any issues of concern regarding the culvert, then they need to come back to us to determine if there are any other permitting requirements regarding the culvert. And then just two other items, because they're disturbing more than an acre of land, they have to submit a NPDES permit to the federal government. Part of that, they did submit their SWIP, their Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan. That was very complete. I did not see in the submittal the Stormwater Management Post-Construction Operation and Maintenance Plan. So that was one other requirement. And then there was also something in the package from the U.S. Department of Interior regarding a number of concerns about endangered species that have been identified to be in this area. And the three species is the northern long-eared bat, the tricolored bat, and the monarch butterfly. So I know the applicant's representative, Mark Cooperman from Ecoterra, is here, and maybe he can review that letter with us to see if any additional information is needed.
Okay. Mark, why don't you fill us in?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Mark Cooperman with Ecoterra Design and Consulting. So during the NPDES application process, which you all realize I think is electronic for the most part, our project engineer, Gigi Munden, who I believe is here this evening, did receive some comments back in that portion of it. I believe my understanding was, I don't have it in front of me, but while they mentioned those three species were in the area, there didn't seem, I forget how they worded it, there didn't seem to be any substantial request for follow-up evaluation on that. I don't know, I suspect it may have something to do with the fact that the site is already in fact cleared and there's not a substantial change in forest cover, which is often something they look for with these. And as you all know, I think it's a little different, for example, than when we're dealing with MESA and priority habitat. And the way the feds describe it is, you know, maybe present, quote unquote, in the area. So, that being said, Gigi, I don't know if you have, do you have that handy by any chance again?
Oh, can you unmute, please?
Yeah, I was just trying to pull it up, but what it said was not likely to
Not likely.
have negative effect. Is
Thank you.
adverse effect is not likely to adversely affect, because there was an interview with like a questionnaire, which and I answered the questions based on our project, which is a residential property. There is some tree clearing, and I did make the team aware that before demolishing the garage structure, need to check it if there's bat habitation there, etc. But the concurrence letter stated that based on that, not our project, not likely to adversely affect. And we did not receive any other communication from the Department of Interior, which if they had further comments, we would have in 15 days, I think.
Okay.
Thank you, Gigi.
And let's see, relative to the culvert itself, can you what size, what material and what size is the existing culvert, Mark?
So, Gigi, I'll let Gigi speak more specifically to it. It's a reinforced concrete culvert. And I think let me just add one thing just to make sure I cover this per Janet's comments, and that is, yes, Gigi obviously inspected it as best she could. One thing we don't have any information on, for example, is, the compaction standards that were set forth when it was installed and the material above it, which is why I too agree with Gigi, and as Janet does, that I think really the best way to address this moving forward is what Gigi has proposed, and that is construction inspections throughout in order to determine if there's any change to the culvert, fractures, things like that. But I'll let Gigi speak to it a little bit more.
The plans, 2023 plan for the as-built, which is almost 23 years after it was permitted. It says the 18-inch RCP reinforced concrete piping. The reason it's not just about reinforced concrete piping, with the strength of it, or what load of truck, like H10 or H20, it's not based on just the material of the pipe. It's even if we know the material, there's grade 1, grade 2, like 4 to 5 different grades of reinforced concrete. And even after then we can get a range there, but there needs to be a required cover. 3 feet minimum. If it's 4 feet, it's a different capacity for the load carrying over the culvert. And if it's sandy material, it's different. That's why we couldn't really, I wouldn't be doing justice to my practice if I came up with something, but I do recommend weekly inspection, because both the owners, the builders, and the conservation and myself realize the strength and health of this overpass is crucial to construction of this property. That's the only access. So everybody is incentivized to take good care of it.
And do you know how much cover exists currently?
About 4 to 5 feet, but it seems that it's mostly rocky material put together on top of it, and not really like a compacted structural fill or anything like that.
Okay. So I can understand the concern, although with that much cover, one hopes they had a layer of gravel underneath the rocks there, but the weekly inspection behooves everyone. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that during construction time, not
Yes.
forever. Let's see. So Janet, do you feel that those issues have been addressed adequately based on your review?
So it would be helpful to have a written.
Can you either speak up or move a little closer to?
Oh, sure. So I think regarding the endangered species issue, just a short memo to us for our file with your understanding, as you explained, that the Interior, it was very hard to read the Interior's letter and find out what their ultimate conclusion was. So if you could just summarize your understanding, and then you will be doing inspections as well as you demo the garage, that would be helpful.
Okay.
And is this primarily dealing with the driveway and that the demolition of the garage is outside our jurisdiction?
No, the garage is within our jurisdiction.
Portion of it is, John.
Oh, okay. I don't have a plan in front of me, so I wasn't, okay.
The entire site, the issue of impact, potential impact on endangered species. But I think they can test it adequately, but if they can just do a memo to the file, we have.
Sure.
Okay.
Be an issue.
With regarding the post-construction operation and maintenance plan, I did put a condition in, my recommended special conditions, just that they will need to comply with all the requirements under NIPDES. So that should be, I think that's sufficient to address that issue.
We have a post-construction operation and maintenance plan. I submitted it to Mike Angieri, and I'll forward it to you.
Okay.
We have it, yeah.
Very good.
We are as of today, I believe, Janet, you've received notice from Mike and Jerry. We are clear with the his review in chapter 159.
I don't believe I received anything from him today.
I think he sent it to Lori.
Lori, I'm sorry, sent an email to Lori. He copied. So, yeah.
Okay.
So he has signed off on that.
Okay. Thank you.
Lori, did you have a chance to see that pop up today, or?
I did see a short email from Mike and Jerry saying that, he had seen the plan and was all set. And I wasn't sure, it was like a one sentence email. So I can forward it to everybody. I wasn't sure, honestly.
What he was referring to, or?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I think he said approved as noted, and I talked to him today, and he said he just wants his notes are only operational, not design, so nothing's going to change on the plan, but he wants to make sure that I understand and that I communicate with the rest of the team the operational things we need to watch out for when we're doing construction. That's what I'm going to do with him tomorrow, and I'll pick up the approved plans and scan and send them.
And just to put that in context, so chapter 159 is the town's new stormwater erosion control and tree preservation bylaw. So that is being enforced and administered now by the town engineer, Mike Angieri. So we're just starting the process. So we're kind of learning as we go, but we're going to need to coordinate that review very closely. So, but it is working well, I think. And Mark has submitted everything that Mike needed, and we've reviewed it as well. So,
okay.
We closed
Great.
the.
Thank you. So, Janet, given it seems that what you might be waiting on is, in essence, just the narrative that addresses the fauna issue. Is that correct, or is there anything else that you're waiting for?
No, that was the only outstanding item, and because I think they've addressed that here verbally, I think as long as we get, a short written clarification, we could go ahead and close and approve tonight. We had 9 special conditions. Nope, that's not right. Is that right?
So let me just jump in a moment. Lori had raised her hand. What's up, Lori?
Is the commission going to require the waiver fees with?
There are waivers on this
Are there
for,
waivers that need to be?
There are two waiver requests and requests for waiver fees, giving the current existing conditions.
Okay, so then if the commission is gonna require the waiver fees, I'll need those two.
Okay.
Thanks.
okay. So, hearing that, I'll entertain a,
Oh, John,
what?
so just to close my recommendations, so I do recommend issuance of the order of condition with the 14 special conditions listed in my report. That does include, with regard to the invasive species management, no use of herbicides. And then also you will need to approve the 2 waivers for just new disturbance in the 50-foot, new structure in the 70-foot no structure setback. And then also Mark just indicated they are requesting a waiver of the waiver fees.
And I'm just, Mark, you help me out, the reason behind the, waiving the fees?
They had requested or attempted to waive the fees, given that trying to read through the intent of 263, in that the work that is jurisdictional here is within that existing driveway. And that's essentially, remember, none of this is for the home per se. So the work that we're requesting is within that existing driveway layout, which is currently a disturbed manufactured condition, and was permitted at one time in that condition. And
So
just
basically, and we would, it's in essence grandfathered. You know,
in essence,
yeah.
grandfathered in both aspects, John, in both in condition and potentially in administration of it.
Okay. Let's see, commissioners, any other questions? Concerning this, I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Hi.
Sarah,
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. You want to go for it, Tim?
Okay, move to approve the 2 waivers required for the project.
Okay, do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Amy,
Hi.
Tim,
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Okay, move to waive the waiver fees.
Under our grandfather policy.
Yes.
Thank you. Do I
Second.
hear a second? Thank you. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Hi.
Sarah,
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Okay, move to issue an order of conditions approving the project with the very long list of conditions
I think they're
outlined in the agent's report.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Hi.
Sarah,
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. So just make sure we'd like to have a narrative sometime early next week.
Absolutely,
please.
absolutely.
Okay.
If not into this week. Thank you everyone for your time and consideration.
And thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. Next we have the ANRAD for continuing the ANRAD for 8185 Tisdale. Oh, I'm seeing Tisdale Drive, but I'm reading Dr. Paul McGovern. I didn't know what had changed. So
unfortunately, that hasn't changed.
Okay, Janet, why don't you fill us in, please?
So when we previously, we discussed this at our last meeting, and it's my understanding we were still waiting for a site plan that showed the accurate boundaries of the vernal pool. We have not received that, and we also needed Paul, who's doing our third-party review, to confirm that as well.
Okay.
I think we are still waiting for that, or I have not seen a revised site plan.
Okay, and so I don't see, let's see, neither Paul nor Deborah on? Is that correct? Paul, not Paul, Paul
Paul McManus.
McManus, yeah. So given that, there'd been discussion, I think, Paul, you may have come in later, or I can't recall last week, the last meeting, but, so we're just looking for a
Yes.
clarification on that.
Yeah, so the reason we haven't been back is because it has taken us a little bit of time to get our surveyor out there. He was on site on Monday. I met him out there. We walked it. We went around as much as we could get around the vernal pool. So he spent the day there Monday trying to survey it. He was planning on getting it drawn up today. So it's basically as simple as it's not ready. I'm hoping that we will have it within the next few days. So I'm hoping that we definitely have it in advance of your next hearing. So that's really the only update. It's done. It's in production, basically.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks for the update. Janet, any other questions?
No. And then Paul, while you're here, just wanting an update on the partial certificate of compliance for the Red Robin project.
Yeah, so that is almost ready as well. I have my report from the engineer. I'm waiting on he had a couple of changes he requested on the drawing, which are being worked on as well. I also need a report from Deb, our wetland scientist, and there is a possibility we will have that ready for the next, presented in time for the next meeting or the one after that, but it's coming very soon. I know I've said that before, but we are getting significantly closer on it.
Okay, and just a reminder, for certificates of compliance, we actually require a submittal 2 weeks prior.
Okay. So likely it will be 2 meetings away, so.
Okay, so if you can formally just send an email to Lori requesting continuance, please, for both items.
We will.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.
You too.
Let's.
John?
Yes, Lori.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to let you know that I didn't send the agenda to Paul McManus because we didn't receive the revised plan, so that's why he's not.
No, I just noted just in case. But I think Janet had also outlined that made sense that that was the case. Thank you. Okay, then we're on to 15 Wilsondale. The continued notice of intent. Janet, did you receive a revised plan on this?
Yes, we received that last week at the deadline. We received a revised plan and also a memo from Joyce Hastings, the applicant's representative, outlining 6 bulleted items with the revisions to the design plan. So if she could review those in the site plan, that would be helpful.
Okay, and does that be Luke, or who wants to present that to us? Joyce, I didn't. For some reason you weren't on my screen, so welcome.
Hi, Joyce Hastings, GLM Engineering. So the plan that we submitted last Tuesday was the revisions that we had discussed. We continued the hearing so that we could put these on the plan, the things that we had discussed at the last meeting. So the first thing we did was that we labeled the proposed turnout, proposed gravel surface, as we had discussed. I showed and labeled that the stone wall that's in this area here would be relocated to the back of that site distance line right here in front of where the pine tree is and where the pole is right here. So this is the relocated line, and then it would continue back along the back side of the parking space. So this comes down here. This would be the relocated portion of the stone wall. The 20-inch oak, the X was removed from there that designated it as being one of the trees to be removed. That has been taken off the plan, so it's a tree that would be saved. the stone trench that was around the backside of the parking spot has been, sorry, not parking spot, turnout area has been removed. And the detail for that has been removed from the second sheet. We just have the detail of the turnout with the drainage ditch removed, infiltration trench removed. A note has been added over here that all disturbed soils will be stabilized with composted leaf mulch. And then the two signs that were here, the two Dover signs, I have removed from the plan and have removed the details from the second page. And then both plans have revised dates of November 20, 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And those were the things that we had discussed at the last meeting.
Okay, thank you. So Janet, is does that cover the bases that you were concerned with?
Yes, I think that covers all of the revisions that were discussed on site.
Mm-hmm.
And because that one tree, which was within the 50-foot, is now staying, that 20-inch oak, there's no waiver requests required for work in the 50 or in the 70. And I'm recommending 4 special conditions.
And I'm trying to just find on your report, are you at the beginning or the end?
Towards the end.
What?
So the
Okay.
first condition would be the filter mitt compost sock with orange construction fencing. The second, all disturbed areas shall be reestablished and stabilized. 3 is submitting of the monthly progress reports. And then 4 is all materials and equipment shall be stockpiled and stored outside the 100-foot buffer zone.
Okay, thank you. So we have our residents or abutters here, as well as representation. Are there any questions concerning this?
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Luke Legere, McGregor, Legere, and Stevens. I represent the abutting residents and owners of the land under the easement. So just two comments that my clients had asked me to raise for the commission's consideration, and maybe there are things that could be addressed through conditions. There are things that were discussed either at the site visit or during the hearings, or either directly or sort of indirectly. The first is to do with the relocation of the stone wall. So on the Molyneux Law property, so to the sort of west of Sullivan Lane, when that wall is relocated, they just want to make sure there's an existing trail walking path. It's easily defined. There's a sort of a farm gate at the end of it, right near Sullivan Lane, that you can see. They just want to make sure that as the stone wall is relocated, that's not going to be blocking their trail.
Is that shown? Is that trail shown on the plan?
So
this
stone wall is not anywhere near that. It's in front of the telephone pole. There's no trail there. If you remember, we walked through it. It's all brush. The trail is further down.
Is that the trail where we said that it's in essence a quasi turnout, and then there's the trail goes over towards Sarah's from there?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, so I don't recall. I didn't think that the wall was going to be anywhere near there, because we're basically just you're looking at pulling out the wall that was at that peak.
So the trail is right here. Here's the existing wall. This is the existing wall. This is the existing wall right here, where the tree, where the big tree is that we are not removing. And this is the opening right here, where the trail goes into the property. We're looking right up here, and it's just this portion of the wall that's being relocated, as you all had asked. And if you recall, it's in front of the pine tree. There was no trail up in this area here. This is where the mound is. So in answer to your question, Luke, you are correct. There will not be a stone wall blocking a trail. That wouldn't make any sense. And you are correct.
Okay, thank you. So that was one thing we just wanted to make sure. The other issue that was discussed a little bit was just where we're talking about having gravel on the proposed turnouts, sort of the size of the gravel, and my clients would request that be as small as possible. So pea stone size. If
It's not gonna be-
if that
yeah.
is something that would work, if it's got to be a little bit bigger as a practical matter, as small
It's
as it could
smaller than pea stone. It's gravel is like it's a little bit bigger than sand, so it could be. It's the size that can be compacted. It will not be the size of pea stone. It'll be smaller.
Smaller. Okay, so if there could be something to just memorialize that, I think that would give my clients a great deal of comfort. Those were the only two issues that we saw reviewing the plans. Thank
So
you.
that's fine. But gravel by definition has a certain size to it, and that's what we are proposing. But I'm fine if you put a condition in there that says something to that effect.
Yeah, so gravel is basically drainable dirt with very small stones. It's not like pea stone where you drive onto it and your tires sink or you know, other larger stones. The whole point is for it to be very solid and kind of disappear under the leaf debris, and not stand out as its own you know, as its own engineered process there.
Okay, well, thank you. We just wanted to ensure that that wasn't indeed going. Thank you.
And commissioners, any questions? Okay, then I think this now seems pretty straightforward. So I will entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye.
Move to issue a standard order of conditions with the conditions outlined in the agent's report.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. This is not a formal condition, but I think if for some reason a trail seems to pop up, you know, it makes sense not to block it. And so, but I think we saw on the site visit that it was further down towards you know, Wilsondale. But just in case, I wanted to just put that on record that people will work to not block that. And the gravel, I think Joyce is right, gravel is defined as we kind of outlined it, but that the point is that's what will be used, not any other defining stone that would not fit in there. Okay. And we're all set. Congratulations.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time, all the commission members and staff. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, thanks.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, then let's see.
You're ahead of schedule, John.
I was just gonna razz you for that.
I'm so excited. It's like, wow.
Thank you so much. But you know, the night's not over. So
I
know. Anyway, so we have a budget discussion for fiscal 2026. And my question on that is, I know we touched base on it. Lori, did you want to fill us in on what your deadlines are and what it is we have at hand?
Well, my deadline is I have to get this into Vadar tomorrow because it's due to the selectmen by Friday.
Okay.
So that's my deadline. But at the last meeting, people had discussed asking for more areas of the budget. So I didn't receive anything from anybody, but I'm wondering if anybody wanted to mention that or add anything.
Anna, did we was that something that you would agreed to look into?
Yeah, and I did it last possible moment. So I sent out a memo just as we were getting together. But I looked into it. I can share my screen because I doubt anyone saw their email. Let's see.
Oh yeah, I just got it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Basically, the short answer was, oh, that's the wrong window. No, I'm doing the wrong window sharing. Oh. Basically, the short answer was, I think there's two things we want to do. One is super simple with budget. I think we should combine the two operating line items. We don't have to, but we all treat it as one thing. So I kind of think it'd be easier for everyone if we just combined it. But I contacted Bill, who's been doing the Springdale Meadow land management plan for like how much should we expect Wildwood, given that it's 200 acres with all these connecting CRs and all this interesting trail work. And he rightly said, I can't give you an estimate because I don't know what I'm looking at exactly, but things of that size typically are under 30K. So I looked at it and said, well, we've got 5 right now. Should we ask for 25 more for just this year? So I think back of the napkin math that works. But it is more of a step than I think I was hoping for. But we do like 12 to 15 of minimal maintenance. We have 5 for land management plans. That's 20. We want to do a little more in supplies, bog bridges, outreach and stuff. So we probably don't want to assume we're eating into the rest. So maybe we should just take the land management plan that's at 5K all the way up to the 30, but we all should discuss because it's a thing.
Well, is there also part of this, the selectmen are looking at getting some GIS data on our Trails network? And I'm wondering if we might be able to, if they can get that done next year, that we could piggyback that on the following year, so that it may bring that management plan down. Does that make sense to anyone?
I'm concerned it might.
No, I was gonna say I would think it would go up, John.
No. Well, part of that is if it's the selectmen's idea, my thought on that would be that it would be the selectmen's cost.
Okay.
And so that if they then had, because they're looking at doing it in other areas of town as well. So for all the easements, the Ben Arthur easements of the world, and many of the easements that were done for new subdivisions in the 80s and 90s that made that were subject to those easements, they wanted to memorialize all those so they don't disappear. So I think that may be a good portion of a cost when we're looking at this, and at that point it gives it would give I'm missing his name right at the moment, who you've been dealing with, Anna.
Bill Geitz Tanner.
Bill, yeah. It may then give him a clearer idea of what he's dealing with and may cut things possibly in half is my hope, but I don't really know, because he doesn't know either, because we talked about the different ecosystems that are out there.
Yeah, there's a bunch. And I think if we want to start getting specific quotes, it might take more time. And at 30K, I think we'd have to do more with procurement, but not a ton more, because I think there's a cutoff at 10. Janet, were you going to say something?
Yes, so what we're proposing to be in the FY26 budget is money for a land management plan, just like we've already done at Dedham, Valley Farm, and now at Springdale. Completely different from GISing trails and documenting that information. So identifying trails through a GIS data points, that is not part of a land management plan. So I
beg to differ a little bit, because I think one of the things for Wildwoods is to address the trails that we have there, And they would be part of a land, I assumed that they would be part of land management just because they may involve crossings, more bog bridges, whether we have
Yes.
areas that are off limits while, certain things recover or things of that nature. I just think that if we want to make it a good resource, that we would want to have that sort of stuff in there. And my thought process is that if the selectmen are looking to do that, we give them a year to go ahead and do that so that when we come to them with a more specific plan, we're basically telling them we're piggybacking on their good decision making.
So just to clarify, can I just clarify?
Mhm.
So I've had conversations with almost everyone in the lower level on this GIS system. It has nothing to do with an assessment or evaluation of the trails, the adequacy, the condition, the ecological value. It's simply entering locations
Mhm.
of the trails. So the land management plan is a much more comprehensive ecological evaluation of the entire property. So they're two very distinct things. And the land management plan could inform the GIS information if we decide to change some of the trail locations, etc. But they are two different. And going forward with the land management plan for FY26 could be helpful to inform the GIS portion of the work.
So I think you and I are discussing things like multiplication and division. I think it works in both directions. I think my sense on this is that since it's on the selectmen's drawing board to do some of this stuff, the idea of requesting, partly because we lose money, if we don't use the land management money, it goes away. The ability, I'm wondering whether or not we request an extra $5,000 for land management and make it clear that we're that we're doing so because we're looking to more actively manage larger parcels such as wild woods. And I think that just can allow the selectmen to recognize that we're looking to work with them going forward on this. And rather than making the big break for 30,000, I think it sort of breaks people into the idea that land management costs have increased, and then maybe we could split that over 2 fiscal years, depending on how we time it. I don't, because obviously we all give pause at the idea of jumping in at $30,000 within tonight, before Lori has to put that in. So that's my sense on trying to move towards that, in the future. Any other, thoughts on that?
I wonder almost about an idea we had on Springdale Meadow before we figured out the price was something we could do in one fiscal year. I wonder about, instead of doing a whole plan all at once, doing 10 into land management, doing half or most of a land management plan, and then coming back to trails and bog bridges and like the recreation side of it, which is probably a big use in Wildwoods, or one of the biggest things we'll be talking about, as like a second phase with the same, like building off the first plan. So do something on ecosystems and, what we would be protecting and what kind of maintenance we'd need there. And then do something recreation focused and sort of do it in 2 phases. But I can be convinced that it's better to just do a little more management and then do a whole thing in, 2026.
27 maybe.
27.
Yeah, I think so. I think part of it is we have been told to, and we voluntarily, thought it was a good idea to level fund for a number of years. But we're getting a little bit more active. We're seeing what things cost. The land management cost, went up a fair amount compared to what we've done historically. That's part of what I like the idea of maintaining those as two separate budgets, even though we have the
Okay.
flexibility to pull from one if we need to. But I'm wondering if we were to make the case that we have been level funded, but we have been more active to ask for a $5,000 increase in both funds. So 5,000 for land management to take it to 10, and 5,000 for maintenance to take that to 30. Does that seem prudent?
I don't see why we shouldn't ask for what we think is right.
Well, but I think part of it is we don't have the time to really flesh out what is right. So is that this is basically, in essence, it's I'm trying to think of the proper wording here. It's preparing them for the fact that we want to do some additional stuff in the future,
Right,
by working with them. But at the same time, coming up with a $30,000 increase for land management seems precipitous at this point. It's a big jump, which we don't have all the data at hand for the deadline tomorrow. Is big.
If we ask too much, will we get told to come back with less, or will we be just told with a no?
That's what I was gonna
Because I don't,
ask Anna.
yeah, I don't mind writing a pitch paper to be like, yeah, we want to do Wild Woods. You all hike in Wild Woods. Here's some beautiful photos of Wild Woods, and make a case. Just if it helps, like if the answer is going to be 30K or 0, maybe we do better to negotiate with ourselves. But I don't mind 30K. No, that's too much. Here's your reasoning. Go give us something smaller. That's fine. To me, I'm happy to write the thing.
If they've ever shut us down. I mean, have they?
No, but we've never asked for that sort of. We haven't doubled things, which is in essence what we'd be doing of our entire budget. And at the same time, we may be looking for a reserve transfer, later in the year, again. So I think because I don't want to use the term. I want to making them more familiar. They're more vernacular terms. We're making them more familiar that we are actively managing things and we need additional funds and we will need more. And I think in our presentation to the warrant committee, we can say all that and say that because of increased trail usage and demographics and this, that, and the other thing, that we will be coming back to ask for a larger amount for specific land management planned for Wild Woods. But in the meantime, in order to even get the idea of pricing that out, we would need additional funds this year to do that, is my feeling. I'd rather not be shut down and have them feel like, because they're not going to shut us down and offer 10. They're just going to shut us down and move on to the next one because the meeting's running too long or something. So so that's my thought process on the 5 and 5. It seems minimal enough, and then maybe another year or two. Well, and then we have the ability to come in and say we want a specific amount for a specific project, and still maintain that extra increase that we may have been able to get for FY26. Does that, or am I being too cautious? I'm open to, but it does come to be an all or nothing situation if we present it as the full 30. And I personally don't feel comfortable that we have that information at hand in the next 24 hours. Not that I doubt your ability in it at all to generate that, but I just and we haven't finished the one that we're working on in Wild Woods. So yeah. And are we ending the year? Will we be using up all our maintenance fees by the end of the year?
That's the plan. I think I need to get the latest, or the end of the fiscal year. I think I need to get the final totals and buy lumber with
Okay.
what makes sense on the rest.
So there may be, I had the sense we had a little bit left over, or we're, you know, going on that way. But I just want to make sure that we actually use it up, because if we're going to ask for an increase, we want to show that we're utilizing it.
Oh, yeah.
For the things. Does that make sense, folks? So I would entertain a motion to request an increase in both funds of $5,000 for each fund.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Tim?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Amy, are you still
Aye.
here? Oh, okay, I had the plan was up there, and I'm an aye as well. Okay, so if we can, Lori, can you put that into Vadar, and then Anna, can you draw up a quick narrative that just
Yeah.
outlines?
Janet,
thanks.
What we've been
Yeah,
Yeah.
just before, they'll want that narrative submitted with my budget tomorrow.
okay. I
Possible.
can
But
you know,
in the-
hang around for a little bit after.
In the email, Anna kind of, I mean, obviously you can wordsmith what you sent to us, but I think what you sent to us in an email is fine, and just edit.
Oh, sure. That
Yeah,
sounds
I
good.
think, you know, to because the succinct thing, just as we just discussed that we are currently working on the Wildwood, I mean on the Springdale Farm one. We're finding that costs have increased, and that our next upcoming project will be Wildwoods, and we've also put in bog bridges, and you know, we're
Trail markers.
yeah, we'll be exhausting our maintenance fund, you know, by the end of the year. So all to the benefit and glory of the residents of Dover. So so I think as opposed to, let's see, yeah, I think the idea of, I'm a little concerned about dropping a $30,000 number in there and saying, but we're not looking for that. You know, we're just something that we're finding that land management plans have gone up over the years. So it's just is that work?
I can modify this and, you know, turn it to a
Yeah, I
paragraph or
think part of
something.
it's just,
It's fine.
yeah, it's not, you have a couple sentences in there that are not all about dollars and cents, but are benefits to,
This is the stuff we've done and
yeah,
all
yeah.
that good stuff.
And Janet, you had a hand up?
Yeah, did you want to, I just had a couple other comments on the budget, not on
Mhm.
this. So if you want to go ahead and vote on that, that's fine.
Yeah.
Well, we just did vote on the
You did?
request there.
Okay.
And so we're doing 5 and 5, and Anna's gonna do a quick narrative that you can get to Lori for her submission tomorrow.
Okay. So as we discussed at our last meeting, Carol Lisbon, the planning board chair, had reached out and had requested that we support 2 Board of Selectmen initiatives, and at least include in our budget. We're not requesting funding, but we're supporting the importance of those 2 initiatives, which is GIS development for trails and easements. And then the second is online permitting, which is going to be a huge plus for our work. So I just wanted to make sure I sent that out yesterday with very specific wording that I thought could be added to our budget submittal.
Well, so number one, I thought I really appreciate it. I thought you touched on great points there in a really nice way to, you know, as a letter of support. I don't know if that needs to go to the, you know, via the budget request, or if it needs to just be sent to the selectmen and the warrant committee as a standalone letter of support. Does that?
Yeah, Carol indicated she was reaching out to Board of Health, our Concom, and I think the building department. She specifically requested and thought strategically putting it in our request.
Oh, in our budget request. So Lori, when you do those requests, do you just attach documents like that?
There's certain documents that they look for example,
Mhm.
if we're asking for an increase,
Mhm.
they want a narrative explaining it,
Mhm.
which Anna's going to do for the trail maintenance, land management. It could just be a separate page that's submitted. It can't be
it's a
input
separate-
into Vadar or anything because there's no monetary figure, but it can just be attached to the packet.
Okay, so, did folks have a chance to read, Janet's letter? It was, I thought it was a letter of support, of wholehearted support, for both those items. One was permitting and GIS, which ties in with just what we've been saying about the GIS part and permitting. We've touched on that in the past. I would, and the letter was it signed, or did you have a?
It was in an email.
Yeah, well, no, but
Within an email, yeah.
Was it, and was it end, and did it end with, sincerely, the Conservation Commission, or I'm trying to find where, because I had read it, but I'm trying to find it now.
It's actually just a statement that the Conservation Commission, it supports both of those initiatives and why.
Okay, so it doesn't need a signature or anybody, just that the Conservation Commission itself.
Yeah.
And you sent that yesterday or
Yes.
Monday?
Yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, it's under the additional narrative?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so if you could, Laura, if you can separate that out and just, without Janet's header and just put it under the guise of Conservation Commission. And then create a PDF that can be attached to that, please.
Do you need to make a motion or was that done at
Yep.
the last
No,
meeting?
no, we'll go. Yeah, that is the right way to do that. So, do people? Janet, your hand's still up. Did you have something to add, or?
I just had a couple other things after this.
Oh, okay. So, I'll entertain a motion to submit the body of Janet's support narrative for the Board of Selectmen to as part of our submission.
So moved.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Tim,
Aye.
Amy,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
Okay. Great. Okay. In terms of additional items, Janet.
First was at the last meeting, John, you had asked me to give you an estimate of the time that I've spent on working with DPW on the stormwater bylaw and regs, and then also time I'm spending on the housing task force. So I did go through the past year, and I sent that out yesterday, I think, or was that?
No, you sent it out. It was today you sent it.
No, today actually says that, yeah.
Today.
And that's exactly what I was looking for, because I think this is something as we move forward, even for the budget increases that we just asked for, is to I know also that, as I mentioned earlier, that we will probably be requesting a reserve transfer, and this gives us something to let them know that that your time has been spent not just for dollars, but also to back up the pro bono stuff, but to make it clear to them that it's not strictly conservation work that you've been billing for, that the town has requested those things, and this is exactly the information I think will be helpful when we have to do that transfer, and basically let them realize that more is coming.
Okay.
So
And then,
and folks, please, if you have a chance to pull it up, do take a look at it. So basically, Janet, we've covered in our budget let's see, 50, 70, some odd, so $6,000 of our, yeah, $6,000 of our budget has gone towards, I'm not sure I'm doing the math right, has gone towards town requested, basically borrowing Janet to review things that are not directly related to our hearings. And I think it'd be helpful to let town management be aware of that. Okay.
And then,
do-
I just wanted to follow up on the last thing. I know we're working to get our backlog of minutes done, but I'm wondering, so I saw something come up that, are we recording this to be transcribed? Are we going that route now, maybe, instead of having a contractor type up the minutes from the recording?
Yeah, I saw it as well.
As I understand, that seems to be a default currently for Zoom.
That's
but
what I
we've been
think
told,
too.
But we've been told that we cannot use that, and that we are still using the services of this aide, if you will, or the person who, and that the 913 minutes, that's her first set of minutes for us. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm still working on, with Carl Valente on, payment to her, and I can talk about that whenever you want to.
Okay. And what's interesting there is her minutes were nine pages long on that one meeting. So it gives you an idea of, and it also was over times, busy meetings that we had. So go ahead and your discussion with Carl.
So when she was offered the job to work for the town, she was offered the job, I understood it as being a consultant, but I guess she was offered the job as an employee. So for that reason, she will not be paid out of the Wetlands Protection Act money that we had discussed, but there is a little bit, she has to be paid under salaries, and Mona pays her under salaries. They have a line item under salaries. So there is a little bit in for this year for Carl called it overtime under 40 hours, and it's under permanent staff, which is just me, but he budgeted 1,300 for this year. I don't expect to use that because I'm not expecting to do any overtime, but he put it in there kind of as a cushion. So I'm going to propose that we use that money, that 1,300. And I think it would be a good idea to add some for next year, also maybe more, actually. So to get all the way caught up.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing. So the town has decided that this person would become an employee, but the town hasn't put aside, and because she's also doing minutes for a series for other boards, is that correct?
She is doing minutes for the Board of Selectmen. And when HR approached me and said, we have somebody, but you have to have money to pay her. And I said, well, if she's a consultant, she can be paid out of the Wetlands Protection Fund. So Mona's been paying her. She's done more minutes for Mona than she's done for me. And I went to Carl and said, Carl, how do I do this? Mona paid her with something called a PAF, which is done when you're an employee of the town. I said, I can't do that. Do I just voucher it as I would any other consultant? So he's been working on it, and it's of course more complicated than it
So
was
the
going
question,
to be.
what's her hourly rate?
So she gets 30 an hour.
Okay. And how many hours did it take her to put this together? Do you have any idea?
I knew last meeting, and I think I mentioned it, I want to say, I thought it was a bit. I I'm guessing
Like in the
seven.
$300 range or something, or?
It was around 3, it was less than 3. I thought it was 7 hours.
Okay, so
So-
200.
But I also was going to talk to her and see if she could make the minutes, and this is if you all agree, more of a summary the way they used to be. I gave her examples of our minutes, and that's what she used to create this. And our minutes are kind of have been turning into a lot longer than just the way they used to be, our old summaries.
That's
So
what minutes are supposed to be. They're
they
summary.
are, I know.
I think the
You know, and
summaries are good.
town council has reinforced that numerous times with us.
They're supposed
What
to
is
be a
interesting-
summary, not
What is-
paragraphs and paragraphs of.
What is interesting is that as I look through the minutes in other towns, and maybe they're using AI to do this, but many other towns are getting more complete in their minutes, and there seems to be minute creep there. But we've been told over and over that it's a summary, and then if there is a question, that it can go to looking at documents and things of that nature.
Exactly.
And reviewing a file. There's
And
a
if
happy
if you read planning's minutes, they're much more concise. It's like a
Yeah, they're
short
turning into hours.
paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what? What did he
They're
say?
turning into hours, not minutes.
That's true.
So I
Literally.
think, so if you can continue to work with her on that, because frankly, we get out of that budget, we get the way she may be getting more acclimated. She may be able to do them a little faster, but also, she had a full list of documents, and I don't think we need that for minutes. I have seen that in other towns, but I've also seen it not in other towns. And
You mean the list of documents at the end of the minutes?
Yeah.
That's something that I was directed to do a while ago by Janet, and I actually did the document list because I think it would be too hard for her to do.
Oh, okay. So that was, I was wondering how she did. Such a
Yeah,
complete
no, it
list.
would, I have the document list done. I do it before the meetings.
Oh, okay. So it's an easy
Because if you
transfer.
don't do it before the meeting, it's really hard to play catch up.
Okay.
It takes a lot
Okay, so-
longer than you would think.
Yeah, so that makes sense. I was of the opinion that she had had to put effort into.
No, she didn't
putting all
have to
that
do
together.
that part,
Okay,
no.
great.
And I also
Okay.
worked on attendance
Mhm.
for those minutes because, again, she didn't have the list of everyone, at the meeting.
So
So
the we don't have, well, number one, Carl's recommending that we basically take something out of your extra account.
my extra account, yeah.
Right, but as we go forward in FY 2026, we expect to use her services, and at this rate, she's good for 5 sets of minutes, as I said. Should we
Add more to that.
extra
Line
5,000
item,
that I
and-
talked, yeah.
He's actually gonna change it to something else and give her her own line item, but for budgeting purposes, I think in a motion, you could say that you want to add more under salaries for minutes preparation or something like that, It
And what
won't
do you
be
have
called overtime under 40 under my name or under permanent staff. It'll be a separate line item for this purpose,
Yeah, and I'm for the town accountant to figure out the nomenclature, but
It's up to them to figure
Yeah.
out the numbers and what they're gonna call it, but yeah.
So do you, if we have 24 meetings a year, call it ballpark. So at 300, so that's 6,000.
We're hoping they all won't take that long.
Yeah, well, that's the idea that especially if she moves towards more of a summary.
Mhm.
But part of it is I'm just looking for what budget number we should use. Is this something we should submit as part on Vadar tomorrow, or is this something?
We really should include it and,
And do you have a place to put it in Vadar?
I would just put it Well, hopefully when I go in tomorrow, Carl will have those budget numbers for me.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm perfectly okay. I think commissioners would be, but correct me if I'm wrong, with you discussing with Carl and then putting it in somewhere at a number that
As
is
long as you
realistic.
approve the amounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do we need to approve that amount before, do we need to approve it tonight? Because you're going in to see him tomorrow.
Unless the commission wants to designate the chair to approve that one item, because otherwise you'd have to vote at the next meeting.
Which, that's okay, but we've missed the Vadar submission date, right?
I'm all for like giving John the approval to,
Yeah.
on behalf of us.
Okay.
I mean, I don't
So-
expect it would be any more than a few thousand.
Yeah, I mean, I think 5,000 would probably be realistic, but
I
let's.
think that would be great because
but Carl-
then you'd be guaranteed to be caught up, but
Mhm. Yeah, and
I'll
that's
leave
kind
it
of
to
the
you.
goal, but it sounds like you can bring that number up to Carl before you press send. Is that what we're talking about? Do you think you'd be discussing that with him before you submit Vadar?
Oh, no, he won't have anything to do with the number. He's just setting up the logistics of the line item and, they're gonna
Okay.
have her enter her own payroll, just like I do, in
Mhm,
the system, so.
Mhm.
I think 5 would be great if you think that's an okay number. I
Well, it
mean,
does seem like the math kind of works out for that.
I think so.
If we got-
If you'd rather do that now,
well, actually, the math works out to $7,200, but
I
the
was gonna say, it seems a little bit, it's gonna be higher, especially if she's doing 24.
yeah.
Right.
So I think, I think the question. So plus she's catching up for the previous year. So I think maybe and obviously the reason, and we may have to bring this to warrant committee, or this may be something that just goes on the salaries via Carl, but that the reason is because our the sophistication and the number of issues that we've been dealing with have not allowed us to keep up with minutes. We're not the only board, so that's helpful. Do we want to so where would that go in under what would that be assigned to? It's not land management, it's not trail maintenance.
Carl would be, in accounting, would be creating that line item under salaries, under permanent. Well, it wouldn't be permanent staff though, actually. It would be temporary staff, it would be called.
Okay.
And it would go under, after salaries. It would be in its own separate line item that we don't even have yet. He's creating the numbers.
So do you want to why don't we submit this either $5,000 or $6,000? Seems realistic. The hope is that if she moves to a summary form and she gets more familiar with things, that her hours would go down. I'm open to suggestion, folks. Or do you want to just give me the deciding ability, and Lori and I can hash it out tomorrow before our meeting?
I think just give you the deciding. Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
Let's go ahead.
No, I think we just give you the deciding factor.
But
And
those the numbers I just mentioned in that thought process, does that seem?
Yeah, it seems absolutely fair and absolutely right.
Okay, thank you. Before we vote on that, Janet, you had your hand up?
Sort of a separate but related topic is just, Lori, if you're talking to Carl, I guess the other issue, so we have 32 minutes of backlog.
Wow.
And that's going to run us about at least 7,000, if not more. That was my calculation, and that's conservative. And that's for this fiscal year. So obviously, if Lori's saying we have 1,300 available, but the projection is over 7,000. That's a problem. So.
Well, originally I thought we could use the Wetlands Protection Act because that's what I told them from the beginning, and there's at least 7,000 left in that. So that's kind of what I was hoping for. This just came up last week. So
Well, I think number one, I think that's good because then we can use the WPA for what it was, really designed for. Number two, they're familiar with what the issue is, and we're not the only board that has this concern. So, and the numbers we just talked about in the $6,000 range, being optimistic that that she may get more efficient or deal with summaries. Why don't we're close. Why
and
don't
our
we-
meetings are shorter.
Yep. So why don't we why don't we have a vote that gives me the authority to present a number with the aid of Lori
Okay, sure. Move to authorize the chairman to represent the board to the selectmen concerning catching up the minutes.
The consultant to catching up in minutes or whatever.
Whatever it is,
no,
I'm
it's
not
not a
good at
consultant.
spelling.
It's for the what's the special employee or what? what's
Temporary staff employee.
Whatever it is.
Yep, for temporary staff employee.
Sure.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Amy?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And I will abstain. And good. I think this, we're requesting things that are what we actually do and what we need.
Yep.
I think, okay.
By the way, just a small point. Somebody said that we've never been denied. That's not true. This might be 20 years ago, but we did try to up our, I think it was the land maintenance stuff. and
Yeah.
They said no.
Okay.
I just asked, have we ever been denied? I guess that's.
Yeah. Yes, and we have.
And I think, and we got cut completely at one point for our the land acquisition fee for a
that's
few
right.
years. So, and then we came back and asked for them and prevailed, and then that moved us to be able to do several things.
I think we just decided, or at least I heard, because I wasn't on the commission, so Tim can tell me whether I'm right or not, but I heard that it was just determined after we'd spent all the money on Wild Woods that it was unlikely that anything was going to be affordable. So why would we stockpile this money that we weren't able to use?
Oh, right,
And
yeah.
then, and we had a little bit still left over after Wild Woods.
That was our choice.
And then, right, and then Brody came along and proved that there was something we could afford.
That leveraging helped. And
Right.
Mhm.
And then, so then we started building the conservation fund back up again, but it
Laura,
was,
do you have any
it was
idea?
our choice to abstain for a few years.
Lori, do you have any idea of what our acquisition fund balance is currently?
Do you mean the fund Amy's talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the conservation fund.
I have it in the office. I don't, and I don't like to guess when it comes
No,
to.
that's fine. I'm
that
wondering if
kind
we're
of
up at
thing.
100,000 or something, but we get 25 a year, but if that would be helpful, at least to be prepped for going in front of the warrant committee.
Oh, definitely by then, yeah.
Thank you.
We have one more on the regular budget, actually.
What's that?
Advertising.
Mm-hmm.
So the ads have gone up to $128 each.
Mm-hmm.
And we just started collecting 100 through the rules and regs. So that's another aspect of it. I'm asking if we can do a revision to the rules and regs just to keep up instead of 100, maybe 130, but
Mhm.
also to increase the advertising budget. And that would be the reasoning behind it. The ads have gone up a couple times
Mhm.
since we did this budget. In the last couple of years, we've had to ask for, like last year, an extra 1,500. And they give it to us because it's a legal requirement. It has to be advertised. So
Well,
rather than
do we-
wait and ask.
Do we
for
also,
it-
do we get reimbursed that money from the
Well, we
applicant?
do if we're charging enough, but we're
Right,
charging
okay.
100.
So
We don't
that's
get
not- that-
reimbursed. It goes into the general fund.
Right, but that's always an easy part of the argument.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can use
So-
that as a reasoning also, but it rather than wait.
Mhm.
I mean, we'll have to ask again this year, most likely, but for 2026, if
Mhm.
you request more, there's let's see, 3,092 was budgeted for 7/1/24. So I know last year we had to ask for 1,500 more.
Mhm.
I would say increase it by 1,500. Because the number of ads seem to be the same year to year.
Right. Why don't we do that, and then we'll have to vote on a rules change. In terms of
Yeah, that'll be a whole separate thing,
Yeah,
but
no, we can do that, but I think when we do vote for that, why don't we vote at like 150, because we know in the middle of our fiscal year, they're gonna increase the fee again, so we
they could.
try to stay ahead of it.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with adding 1,500 to that.
It's something that's kind of out of anybody's control. The paper charge is what they charge and
No,
you
we
have
did,
to
and
advertise, so.
we have to address it to, to be responsible. I'll entertain a motion
To,
to add
Ra-
$1,500 to advertising.
sure, so moved.
Okay, second, thank you. All in favor? Tim,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Amy,
Hi.
and I'm an aye. Okay. Anything else, Lori?
I think that's it for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see, did folks have a chance to review Janet's invoice?
Yes.
Yes.
And anyone have any questions?
Nope.
It's lower.
Busy,
Appreciate
busy.
that. But yeah, it is busy, regardless. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the Janet's invoice as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Amy?
Hi.
Tim?
Aye.
Anna?
Aye.
Sarah, did I say Sarah?
Nope, not yet.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay. Let's see, then we're looking at, and that amount was $8,117.50. For the record. Land management work group update?
Yep, so not a whole lot, I think, since our last meeting, but our next land management meeting is on the 11th at 11. And that's the one we all coordinated to try and get the hikers and equestrians and land management people onto the same Zoom for like 45 minutes to start talking about stuff. So it should be fun.
And have you gotten responses from people yet, or have you had a chance to reach out?
I think, well, those of us here just sort of scheduled the time. I'm not sure if other folks have reached out to
Okay.
likely interested people, but I'll send out the agenda in the morning. So be great to see everyone. Also on that meeting, I think Janet was mentioning that Bill has some initial thoughts for us for the land management plan for Springdale. So we're going to be looking at that. If anyone here is interested in attending as well, it might be interesting. So we'll be doing that on the last tail of the meeting.
Okay, and what was that date again? Date and time?
The 11th at 11.
Okay.
Via Zoom.
Thank you. And then I'm hoping this isn't a surprise, but I have a nomination for Anna to the Sustainability Committee. Were you aware of that, Anna?
I was aware of that. I realized I'd set a meeting date and I hadn't asked to be nominated.
So so you're okay if we nominate you for that?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Then I will entertain a motion to nominate Anna Nagy to Sustainability Committee.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor? Amy?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Sarah?
aye.
I'm an aye. Just to confirm it, Anna?
I'm an aye.
Okay, great. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Janet, updates?
And just to back up, so, I just got the minutes in a doc form yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I will need more time, but I should have my comments ready. I did have one question. And Lori, maybe you can answer this. So in most of the application discussions, she references CRs. Do you know what she was talking about? Because there weren't any CRs on any of our applications.
I noticed that too, and I thought it was something maybe that I missed. No, I don't know what she's talking about.
Okay, all right. So I will get my edits out to people in advance of the next meeting.
Yeah, it's fine. I pulled up the PDF, but I don't know if it's searchable. I put in restriction and CR and nothing's coming up.
And I also just wanted to mention on the Springdale Meadows, where the land working group is going to meet, just because all four of us were at the site visit with Bill, and we thought we would do like a first review of his draft, get comments to him, and then he'll be coming to the full commission. So if you can't make the land management group, he'll be coming with his draft plan for more input. And the question to think about is, are there any other stakeholders that we'd want at that meeting to hear about this plan? I'm thinking Elizabeth Freeman, the abutter, the direct abutter, maybe folks from the Open Space Committee, or maybe, Amy, you can think about, do you want your own separate presentation on this as the Open Space Committee? And then also whether any members of the hunt, well, we have two members here, but if you wanted to make it a more formal meeting with other stakeholders.
Would DLCT be a stakeholder as in a butter or?
We're across the street.
Yeah. Greg Cahoon.
Well, actually, we're in behind too.
I would say you're behind like the river. Yep.
I mean, DLCT, we could, we meet the second Tuesday night. So we could do it. I'm not sure we care that much, but
Okay, yeah, no, it's just a small area. It's just the trails.
Yeah,
that where it comes in the corner back there.
I
But
think
I
Open
think
Space would be interested, and I think the Rail Trail Committee is going to be
yeah.
interested.
So is there, because I've just saw these things come out of the selectman's office, there actually is a rail trail committee. Is it led by Mark Galoni or?
Yeah, it's led by Mark, but it has a weird constituency.
Oh, really?
I'm not on it, thank
Yeah.
God. It's the
No, me
only
neither, but
committee I'm
I-
not on.
I'm not on it, and I was on the original one.
Yeah, no, I was
No.
surprised. I mean, I was
I think
surprised that
Carol's the
That's
only
20 years
one.
ago.
I
Mhm,
didn't
Carol-
recognize half the names on it, actually.
Mhm.
Is
Well,
Carol
actually,
on it?
that's not true. Carol's on it, Kevin Band's on it, some of the original people. I think Val's on it.
She wasn't on the original, I don't think.
No, Val was against it.
No, Val was for it. She was on the Greenway.
Oh,
So, well, it would seem, I think because we may want to have, make sure there's some sort of connection there, from there to the trail, or maybe not. It's something to be discussed. So, we could at least send out an
You
invite.
have no choice. There is a connection. between the
Well,
trail.
it goes right by there, but it's also a 10-foot hill, except until you
Oh,
get to the
no,
DLCT
back corner is that grade.
Yeah, no, but that's DLCT, isn't
No,
that?
no,
Oh, is it?
it's still Concom
Mhm.
land, yeah.
So I think that's, yeah, and that will tie in with our land management of what do we want to do with that space and where do we want to put trails? You know, so I think it makes sense to have the rail trail invited as well. So is this something to invite people once we have Bill set up to make a presentation to the committee as a whole? Or
I
what?
envision that once we have internally reviewed it and are comfortable,
Mhm.
then we would have a larger kind of public meeting to get feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which still allows for changes to be made if, you know, as things come forward. So I think that, yeah, we want to be fully transparent and open to input. So it sounds like a good idea. Okay. Anything else, Janet?
Yeah, let me just go through my agent's report. So one follow-up is whether, John, you were able to set a submittal deadline for 29 Saddle Ridge Road the enforcement compliance with that.
You know, I did have it in my calendar and I had fires to put out, so I will move it to next week. I'm sorry about that. And let's see.
And then also I was wondering, Lori, I think he had owed money for Paul's services, but also we needed additional money in escrow. Have we received that?
29 Saddle Ridge?
Yeah.
No, I was just working on that today. It seems that Vadron sent in the money for the bill from September, but he didn't designate what it was for. He sent it online to the treasurer's office. They didn't know what it was for because he didn't indicate conservation, which I've requested in every email I've sent. Please put somewhere on there that it's for conservation. So the treasurers sent it back with a form that they have asking him to designate where it's going and return the form, and he hasn't done it yet. So it's just, I don't have it. The short answer is no, but it's not for lack of trying to get it. So yes, Paul still needs to be paid for his bill in September for 29 Saddle Ridge. The other
And
thing
was
he's
that
working
for
on is money in the
was that $640 or
640, 680, something like
okay.
that. Yeah.
Well, why don't
copied you, John.
so I've put in, I'm going to contact you on Monday and about this. So we'll review all that and try to get something out with some teeth in it. Okay.
But then just to follow up, so that was for the first round of Paul's review. The commission approved a second round that we were going to require he put in escrow. So that's moving forward. So we still have old money to get from him, but there was also new money we wanted to be put in escrow. There is, but I was trying to get the old bill paid first, you know, so, yeah.
Okay.
That was before the commission even approved the second round. I've been trying to get this money since September. So that's what I'm working on now, and when he gets back to me, we'll talk about him sending in. Paul hasn't used any of that yet. He hasn't done any work against that yet. I haven't gotten any bills for that yet, so.
Well, yeah, I think as part of that, it's for Paul to review whatever they're supposed to send us,
Which
is a
they
fleshed
haven't
out
sent
plan.
yet. That's why,
Yeah.
right, right. So
Okay.
it's not forgotten about.
Okay, Janet.
The next item was I had sent out a copy of the Ecotech report on the Claybrook Road stabilization project. At our end of July site meeting, there were a number of wetland restoration plants that had died, and some areas looked a little sparse. We got this progress report from Ecotech. They confirmed that they planted an additional 25 shrubs in the area, for a total of 35 native shrubs. There was 9 and 25, so that totaled 34. And I was out there fairly recently, and the area actually looks pretty good, even with, the drought we're in. The area seems to be taking hold a little bit better, but they are on the hook to monitor for 2 years, and the nursery gave a 2-year written warranty. But I know the neighbors are monitoring that area as well. But I didn't know if people had any questions on that.
Did we get any formal response relative to the request for drilling holes to aid drainage on the structure there?
No, but the Weston, Woodward and Curran, they confirmed they received that, and they were going to let us know what the schedule was, but we haven't
Okay.
gotten.
Okay.
Yeah, but they agreed to do that work and also to paint that area in the brown paint.
Okay. Next.
Let's see, the next, I sent out the new stormwater management regulations. Those are in draft final form, having gone through town council. We are now waiting for the Board of Selectmen to schedule a public hearing on those regulations. There's like with any new regulations, there's a learning curve, but I've been coordinating with Mike and Jerry pretty closely on this, and also Walter. And I think Mike and Jerry just sent out his first notice of violation for tree removals at 3 Tower Drive. I think once word gets out that we're issuing notices of violations and we're enforcing these, we'll have some better compliance. And I just didn't know if people had any questions, if they had a chance to look at those regs.
Nope, I haven't. I'm just, matter of fact, I just tried to download it, and it's not coming through, but I will work on that.
Any questions, let me know. We will be, so anything that goes to Mike and Jerry, whether it's in a wetlands or not, a copy is also coming to me for review. So we have a coordinated review here. So if someone's doing something, they think they may be exempt from this bylaw or from wetlands, we will have a better check system on that. And you all were copied on my email to Pat Corrigan about work at 14 Rule Drive. I have not heard back from him, but I know Mike and Jerry also contacted him, and he's scheduled to meet with him soon. So
This is what was the address?
14 Rule Drive.
Okay. No, I was not aware of that, so I'll look that up.
So Mass GIS does indicate that there are wetlands on the property. So the next step is for me to meet Pat out there and just walk the property. There have been, I guess, significant tree removals. I don't know anything else about the project, if it's a tear down or I don't know. Let's see. Just update on the status of the level 3 drought. Luckily, we're not having any delineations in riverfront right now, or in terms of perennial streams, so that's good, because that would complicate things. And then the last is, we talked briefly at the last meeting about recruiting for a new commission member and also our 2 associates. And I had volunteered to draft something for the newsletter, so I will do that and send that out to everyone, and we can review that at the next meeting.
Great, thank you. So anyone have anything else they'd like to bring up?
No.
Okey-doke. Then thank you very much for this evening. almost stayed with it, but we got jinxed.
Yeah, no,
and-
it's not too bad. It's not too bad.
No,
It's 9:50,
Uh,
so
we've
thanks,
done much
Cynthia.
worse.
Yeah, this is a
Yes,
lot worse.
you think?
Landed at a good time.
Which is why we're 32 minutes behind, yeah. So, okay, thanks, everyone, and hearing no objection, tonight's meeting is adjourned.
night, everyone.
night.
Bye.
Night.
Bye.